Hi, gang. Jeff McAleer back once again. And, normally I start out the show and I'm just kind of silly and I'm like, hey, today is National whatever oddball day it is. Today's a little bit different because today is actually kind of a serious day. Some people celebrate, some people feel bad, but today is National Coming Out Day. And I gotta be honest, I sincerely tip my cap to the true bravery that people show on National Coming Out Day. It is not a situation that I don't even know if I were in that situation, if I would have the courage to do something like that, to basically come out. But regardless of where anyone may be in their personal journey, it's important that they know that there are many allies out there, whether they're in or out. And I'm a firm believer that you never apologize for being you. And I hope everyone understands that there are people who love you just as you are. Okay, that said, let's get on to the show because the Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, gang. Yes, I am Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com. And yeah, I just wanted to start off, a little serious note, because usually I just kind of goof around and say, oh yeah, it's National, what was it, Moldy Cheese Day on Tuesday? It's like, yeah, okay, National Moldy Cheese Day. Anywho, I was not in front of the camera yesterday because I had an opportunity to go into Chicago. Elliot Miller, my best friend over at voiceofe.com, went with, and I had kind of pointed this out previous shows that we were going to have an opportunity to go downtown, well, not downtown, into the city, not far from downtown. But I know, having lived in Chicago, being born and raised in Chicago, people get a little, up in arms if I say downtown when it's not specifically downtown, but in the kind of the inner city, I guess we would say. So it was really fun. Got to go to the Red Lion pub, which is supposedly haunted, and got to play Betrayal Legacy, which is coming from Avalon Hill. It's arriving on November 9th. So it was cool because I got to meet Katie McLeod, who's from 360 PR Plus. It's kind of my press contact that I talk to a lot regarding Wizards of the Coast. Shelly Mazanoble from Wizards of the Coast was there. I was not expecting that whatsoever. I thought that was pretty wild. And I hadn't actually seen Shelly in 3, maybe 4 years. And it was funny, she remembered Elliot and I. So it was cool. I was like, wow, really? And then we also got to sit down with the designer, Rob Davio. I think it's pronounced Davio. Almost positive. And he was very cool too. So it was really a small event. There were really 5 of us playing the game, and it was food and drinks and a lot of fun. And of course, got a copy of Betrayal Legacy. Oh yeah. Oh, scary kids, scary. And I know I had promised that if I got a review copy yesterday, last night I should say, that I would be doing an unboxing today. No, because there's an embargo. There is an embargo on sharing any sort of video about Betrayal Legacy until the day it hits stores, so November 9th. Now, Katie McLeod had informed me that, if I want to write an article, stuff like that, I feel free. No video, basically no images. I was like, well, then I'll just wait to do my unboxing on November 9th. When it comes out, I will be doing an unboxing. Kind of funny. I'm going to have to kind of sit on this until then. Do want to point out that we played a couple of games. So we played a prologue. I can share some info about the game. It's just I can't can't show it off, really. You know, I can show you the back of the box, but I mean, the back of the box, this info's been out there. Sorry, you're getting glare. I'm trying to maybe try to turn this so you don't get a bunch of glare. There you go. Some of the components and stuff. But anyway, there are 13 adventures and a prologue. So 14 in all. And we played the prologue, and then we played the first story, the first tale. And I'll be very honest, I had never played Betrayal at House on the Hill, either version of the game. In fact, strangely enough, I thought that Avalon Hill had originally released it like back when Avalon Hill was Avalon Hill, right? Back in the 80s or something. But I was wrong. Just goes to show, you know, I don't know everything about every game. But anyway, I had never played it. But if you are familiar with Betrayal at House on the Hill, you have these stories, and these stories sometimes, I believe most of the time, one of the players ends up becoming kind of like a traitor. I don't believe anybody knows who's going to be the traitor ahead of time in that game. And it's possible that maybe there's just monsters in some of the tales. Like I said, I don't know. I had never played it, but it was pretty wild. I'm not gonna spoil anything, because the way this is set up is it's set up where you're gonna play your 14 adventures, your 14 stories, right? And they all revolve around the house. And it was kind of funny. I'd mentioned to Rob, I said, "Yeah, I see you're going for that kind of Shirley Jackson Haunting of Hill House vibe, huh? Because the main focus is the house, right?" So anyway, played the prologue, then played the first real adventure, and I ended up being the bad guy. So I'm not gonna tell you how, but I thought it was kind of interesting, because then it becomes, you know, one versus many. I was able to take all the other players out, all 4 other players. I was able to. So I thought that was pretty wild. And I was rolling some really good dice, because the way the dice are set up, it's either blank, 1 pip, or 2 pips. That's it, right? They're 6-sided, but you're looking at blanks, 1 pip, 2 pip. And I was rolling stuff with 6 dice, right? I'm getting like 10s, 9s. It was like, holy cow. Because there's a lot of blank sides on the dice, and Elliot's sitting next to me. He's like, holy. And I'm like, dude, you've seen me go on. You know, we played games together for decades. I'm like, you've seen me go on just a run of really good dice rolls. So had a lot of fun. Had a good time. Obviously haven't played it enough to kind of be able to do any sort of review or anything like that. But pretty interesting. I am looking forward to that. It's going to carry a $75 MSRP. It will be out on November 9th. And of course, I will have an unboxing video on that day. It's a Friday. I'm almost positive. I'm pretty sure it's a Friday. All right, so today I am going to dive in and take a first look at the hardcover edition of Vampire. Why did I start saying Masquerade? Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. I think it threw me off when I said hardcover edition of, and I was going to say 5th edition, and be like, blah, 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 blah. How many times do I want to say edition? So we are going to dive in. It's 400 pages. I'm going to flip through, and we're not going to look at every single page, but we are going to go into some depth, taking a look at it. And I'm also going to have a giveaway for a PDF edition of Vampire the Masquerade. A little bit later, it is going to be for Twitter followers only. Going to be super easy, but there's going to be a little bit of a twist to it. But first, I want to get into the news for, oh, well, actually, I should point out, see, I have a day off from the show and I'm like discombobulated. See what happens? It's like this on Mondays sometimes, isn't it? Where it's like, oh, wait, I almost forgot to say something. This is a live stream. So I know a vast majority of people catch the Daily Dope after the fact, but it is a live stream. If you're watching live, and there's usually anywhere from like 3 to 12. I think the most I've ever had is like 20. And I get it. I understand. It's the afternoon. People are at work, right? Most people are at work. Or if they work at night, they're sleeping, so they're probably not watching this either. But if you are watching live, chat is available on YouTube. It is not on screen, but I do keep an eye on the chat, so if you say howdy or have a question, I will acknowledge that and respond. So feel free, say howdy. If you have a question about Vampire the Masquerade, fire away, or if you want me to take a closer look at something, by all means. Okay, so anyway, today is Thursday, October 11th, and everybody knows, if you follow the Daily Dope, I love doing RPG stuff. So, first I got some board game news, and then I'm going to talk some RPG news. But first off, Ares Games is going to produce a revamped edition of the Russian card game. I can't pronounce it in Russian, but in English it's called Nightmarium. Get it? Like nightmare and Here's the dope. A game about building nightmares so terrifying you'll see half of them in your dreams afterwards. You have cards representing night terrors, and the more of them you combine in the right order, the more monsters will come to life, and the more horrifying they become. Create monsters that will make your opponents gasp in horror. Nourish them with your own fear, and make them stronger. Well, that sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? Only then will you achieve victory and become the master of terror. Each night terror is also associated with one of 4 legions of horror. The Necromunculi, the Constricti, Mansters, or Chimeridae. A terrorist legion is indicated by the color of the card's background. Okay, so they say the color and then they repeat these things again. So I'm just going to say we got blue, brown, green, and red. A creature can be made up of any night terrors, but players are better off weaving creatures out of cards that all belong to the same legion. The game continues until one of the players completes 5 creatures. This player immediately becomes the winner. In Nightmarium, the revised edition, you also want to keep in mind there is a Legion of Horrors expansion which is going to introduce a new card type to the game, and it is already in the box. The game is for 2 to 5 players, ages 10 and up, plays in around 20 to 30 minutes. Nightmarium is going to release at Spiel in Essen, but we will not see it in North America until sometime in July. And I do not have any MSRP info yet. But I gotta say, this looks neat. I like the art style. I really, really like the art style. Plus, I think it's cool that Ares Games, you know, everybody thinks of Ares Games and they think, you know, Sails of Glory, Wings of Glory, Sword and Sorcery, which is coming back to Kickstarter, I want to say in November. I'll talk about that when it's closer to that. Battlestar Galactica is coming from them. That's coming in November. So, I mean, a lot of people don't realize that Ares does also release some smaller footprint games. Some games that are, you know, for the whole family. So, pretty cool. I like that. I like the artwork. Should be pretty fun. Should also mention, November is going to see a much wider release of Facade Games and their trio of historically flavored card games. And I've got the dope on all 3. Deadwood 1876. There's gold in the Black Hills of South Dakota, and you've come to find or steal your share. You're staying at one of the 3 major establishments in Deadwood, where you and your associates are working together to steal some of the gold-filled safes floating around town. But you suspect that the friends you're working with are secretly plotting to keep all the gold for themselves. Will you be ready to turn on them before they shoot you in the back? In Deadwood 1876, you'll work with teammates to try to win safes from other players. After the final turn, the team with the most gold will advance through the final showdown. Their teammates will have to fight each other to the death using showdown guns that they've been hiding from each other. Last person alive is the winner. Deadwood 1876 is for 2 to 9 players, ages 13 and up, plays in about 20 to 40 minutes, and will carry an MSRP of $24.99. Then there's Salem 1692. Can we guess what's going on in that game? Yep, the year is 1692, and the witch hunt in Salem, Massachusetts is heating up. Players, each representing a historical person from the town of Salem, will play accusation cards to reveal other players' trial cards. If all witch trial cards are found, the remaining townspeople win. But be careful whom you trust. The conspiracy card may soon turn your friends into witches. Before long, accusations will be flying and screams of, "She's a witch!" will wake the neighbors. Will you be the hero who purges your town of witches, or will you be wrongly accused and hanged for witchcraft? Salem 1692 is for 4 to 12 players, ages 13 and up, plays in about 20 to 40 minutes, and will carry an MSRP of $24.99. Finally, there's Tortuga 1667. For some reason, whenever I see the word Tortuga, I always want to say Tortuga. Tortuga 1667 is a pirate game of mutiny, plunder, and deceit for 2 to 9 players. Each player holds a secret loyalty to the British or French and wants to win the most treasure for their team before the Spanish Armada arrives. Use vote cards to attack the galleon for treasure, mutiny against selfish captains, or brawl against your fellow pirates. Reveal event cards such as the Letter of Marquis, Black Spot, or Albatross to maroon your enemies and to help your friends. But be careful about whom you decide to help. Not all pirates claiming to share your loyalty can be trusted. What? You can't trust a pirate? You're kidding. Tortuga 1667 is for 2 to 9 players, ages 13 and up, plays in around 20 to 40 minutes, and will also carry an MSRP of $24.99. All 3 of these Facade releases are going to hit retailers on November 14th. Very cool. I seem to recall doing a news piece, right about when the Daily Dope started, back in December, early January, or maybe I just had it on the website, about Deadwood. Deadwood 1879, isn't it 1879? 1876, something like that. Because it looked pretty interesting. Although I have to admit, the artwork they've got for Wild Bill Hickok makes him look like bigger and beefier than he was in real life. But I have to say, these Facade games look really cool. Because they've got, they're historical. What was the minimum? They're more like bigger group games too, which are tough to get your hands on a lot of times. Some were 2 to 9, some were 4 to 13, 4 to 11, something like that. Very, very cool. These look pretty interesting. And I have to say, someone who was a huge fan of the show Deadwood when it was on HBO, I could just imagine getting the Deadwood game. You'd have to make sure everybody's adults, right? And then just start busting out some of the profanity that was just laced throughout Deadwood. I think that'd be pretty funny. Okay, moving right along. Brotherwise Games has a new fantasy title which is on the horizon. It's going to come out early next year, and I've got the dope on Call to Adventure. Make your fate. Inspired by character-driven fantasy storytelling, Call to Adventure challenges 2 to 4 players to create the hero with the greatest destiny by acquiring traits, facing challenges, and overcoming adversaries. Call to Adventure features a unique rune rolling system for resolving challenges, a point-based system that encourages storytelling, and over 150 unique cards. Players begin each game with an origin card that provides their backstory as well as 2 starter abilities. Each round, they may either acquire trait cards from the board or face a challenge. Challenges each have 2 possible paths a player can choose from. For example, players who encounter the Thieves Guild may choose to train as a spy or train as a killer. I don't know. I don't think being a killer is all that heroic, but that's just me. Each challenge has a difficulty that must be overcome by rolling successes on carved runes. The more a player has of the abilities required to overcome the challenge, the more runes they will be able to cast. Failed challenges lead players to acquire experience points that may be spent to push through tougher challenges. But beware, while some negative experiences will help your hero grow, too many tragedies set them on a dark path. As players' heroes grow in ability and experience, they move on to harder challenges, eventually facing deadly adversaries and acquiring more and more destiny points. The player whose hero has the highest destiny score wins the game. Call to Adventures for 2 to 4 players, ages 9 and up. I'm a little surprised it's 9 and up because it seems a little more complex than that. Plays in about 30 to 45 minutes and will carry an MSRP of $39.95 when it arrives in stores on February 6th. I gotta say, this is intriguing. This is very, very intriguing. But strangely enough, the guys at Brotherwise Games, I don't know if they dislike me or something like that, because I actually reviewed Boss Monster when it came out, and I actually was one of the first reviewers for it. I really liked Boss Monster. I thought it was really a lot of fun. And then it was like nothing. Never heard anything back. In fact, I spoke to, I'm trying to remember. The guy who's, the brother who's kind of like the face of the company. I can't remember if that's Tim or not. Anyway, interviewed him about their recent release that had come out that looked really interesting. Now I can't remember the name of the title. And it was like, yeah, great. Did an interview. Review copy? No. But that aside, this does look really intriguing. And even though I don't have an image of it, there are these like runes that are going to be part of the game. I saw an image of them, but it was not from the company itself. So that's why I'm not sharing it. All right. So, as I mentioned, it's Thursday. Love to talk about RPGs, and there's a new adventure available for Clockwork Publishing's Space 1889, which I have a soft spot in my heart for because when it came out from GDW. Anyway, I've got the dope on Murder on the Ether Express. Since inventors Edison and Armstrong set out on their first journey to Mars in 1870, mankind has been enthused by the worlds lying beyond the ether, and nations and enterprises, inventors and explorers, have ventured into the depths of space. German inventor Elke Eggers, however, has no interest in going up. Driven by her memories of fantastic tales her grandfather Angsgar used to tell her about underground civilizations, she has dedicated her life to seeking ways to voyage underground and find the mysterious city at the center of the Earth. See, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense because I believe that's the press information for a previous adventure. So, but this is just coming from their drive-thru page. I'm just saying, it's coming from their drive-thru page. Anyway, see, now this part sounds like it's from the correct product, but hey, I'm just reading what was shared. The RMS Etheria is a marvel of modern etheric engineering capable of incredible interplanetary speeds and, if the owners are to be believed, the fastest civilian ship in the solar system. Wonder how quickly it completes the Kessel Run. Of course, this brash claim requires proof, and the adventurers have been lucky enough to secure passage on the ship's shakedown cruise, during which the vessel and her crew will be put through their paces. They're not alone, however. The wealthy aristocrat. Yeah, the aristocrats. Montague Harrington Hyde. Oh, yes, pip pip cheerio and all that. Has commandeered the ship for one of his famous business parties where, if rumor is to be believed, fortunes are made and lost. This isn't the only thing they need to worry about, as the competition eyes the Etheria? Yeah, it's Etheria. With jealousy, and the Tossian government sent one of their ambassadors along for the ride. Can they navigate the world of the aristocracy and rub shoulders with the elites without causing a stir? Or making, I just want to go, or making the front page of the Times. With sabotage, political skullduggery, and maybe a murder or two in the cards, Can they even survive this ship of secrets? Murder on the Ether Express is an adventure for a veteran game master and players who are interested in an adventure based on investigation and social interaction. Of course, this adventure is written for the Ubiquity version of Space 1889, not the GDW. Right now, you can score the 32-page adventure in PDF from DriveThruRPG for $5. Sweet. One thing that's weird is I have noticed that the Clockwork Publishing site, they don't really update their website. It's strange. It's, you know, this just came out. I believe this adventure was just added to DriveThruRPG today. I think it just came out today, but I took a look at their website. That's why I'm sharing the DriveThruRPG address, not Clockwork Publishing. Because I'm like, what? I'm like, seriously? Like, you know, you get a new adventure out, but you haven't updated your website in months? Of course, they're probably too busy making games, but I find that strange sometimes. Anyway, speaking of DriveThruRPG, there is a blast from the past that is now available in PDF at DriveThruRPG. Here's the dope on Gamma World. Oh yeah. Can you survive in a world gone mad? A world where civilization as we know it has been destroyed in a cataclysmic holocaust? What is left in this world? Find out and encounter such bizarre things as mutated plants and animals more terrifying, but it's terrible, than you can imagine. Radiation wastelands that stretch as far as the eye can see, and fearless machines gone uncontrollably berserk. This is the setting for a Gamma World campaign, with players taking on the persona of an individual character somewhere in this forbidding locale. In a quest for survival and in search of a better future, the players adventure across the land, enduring hardships and encountering dangerous obstacles and mysterious foes, never quite knowing what to expect. The result is a game which can go in many directions, but which will be challenging and fascinating no matter what the outcome. The Gamma World set includes all the basics needed to set up your own world, game booklet packed with terrible mutants, as well as guidelines for creating additional ones of your own, a large campaign map designed to be easily modified by individual game masters, and of course, this doesn't come in the game, a full set of polyhedral dice. Kind of funny how it's just been like the info for DriveThruRPG has just been taken right from the back of the box. The only other things necessary are a good imagination and a spirit of adventure. The Gamma World rules are also suitable for use with the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons rules. Of course, we're talking first edition AD&D. The Gamma World Challenge awaits you. Are you ready? Okay, so this digital edition includes the PDF version of the book, a zip file containing printable JPEGs of the campaign map as well. So you can score the 63-page PDF for $9.99, and there are some print-on-demand options as well. I have to laugh because I had Gamma World. I had that when it came out. And once again, it's an RPG that I've kind of got a little soft spot for, just from nostalgia, right? And it's funny to see a core book, 63 pages, right? I mean, in these days of 400 or 500 page PDFs or physical books for the core books. It's kind of funny to think back in the day when they were like, like 50 pages. What was Boot Hill originally? I think Boot Hill was like 55 pages for the first edition. But that's kind of funny. I get a kick out of that. And I always like the kind of bizarre gonzo kind of setting of Gamma World. But I think it was more second edition Gamma World that started getting a little wackier. I think first edition Gamma World was kind of played more straight up. But yeah, I always got a kick out of that. And to be honest, I always thought that the original Gamma World actually owed Metamorphosis Alpha a nod, because I think Metamorphosis Alpha did provide a lot of inspiration for Gamma World, because Metamorphosis Alpha was on that spaceship, that starship, huge starship that you were just adventuring across, and would have all these oddball things. So very cool. Although I gotta admit, I think $9.99 is a little pricey for a 63-page PDF, even though, you know, it's a blast from the past. Do want to mention, whenever I talk about DriveThruRPG, if you are going to visit any of the drive-thru sites, please go to thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you make any sort of purchase, we get a small portion of that purchase. And I say all the time, it really adds up and it really helps out. Okay, so I am going to dive into Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition in just a couple minutes. Well, probably a little more than a couple minutes. Did want to mention, because it is Thursday, I like talking RPGs, and, you know, this show is just kicking back. You know, it's not like I take it all that seriously, right? I think you can tell. But I have been bouncing around running some Dungeon World, which is a Powered by the Apocalypse role-playing game, which I have never run anything like that. But I am digging the kind of vibe to it. And I'm going to kit bash an old Dungeons & Dragons, I should say, well, no, it wouldn't be advanced. One's advanced, one's basic, that I'm up in the air on. So I was going to kit bash one of those for, you know, my nephew Cameron, Elliot. Elliot will probably be playing some of Cameron's friends. You know, the gang. Yeah, the gang, the gang that actually makes up the gaming gang. Even though you usually only see me, sometimes you see Cameron, sometimes you see Cameron's friends, but I'm the face of the gaming gang. Unfortunately, right? Ugh. But yeah, I'm kind of looking at, I got a vote going on right now over on Twitter. It runs throughout the rest of today. So it's either going to be B2, which is Keep on the Borderlands, which was that was the one that came with basic Dungeons and Dragons. And as far as I understand, that module had been printed more than any other Dungeons and Dragons product. It was in more hand. I mean, I think there were like 1 million copies of it printed. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Maybe do that. Or doing the Temple of Elemental Evil, which I actually ran back in the day, the first module, Village of Hamlet. But then by the time they actually released the rest of it, what was it, 1985? I was already running Call of Cthulhu. I had left D&D behind. But yeah, I'm kind of digging the whole Dungeon World thing. I'm digging the approach where the Game Master doesn't roll any dice. That the players all are rolling dice, and then, you know, if they're kind of successful, I get to, you know, create things. And then, of course, if they fail, I get to make the Game Master moves and things like that. Really, really sounds like a lot of fun. So I'm just going to pull like beats and plot points from the module. I'm not going to just run the module with the Dungeon World mechanics because they're very, very abstract. But really looking forward to it. I think it'll be very, very cool. So if you like, I do have the poll going on through the end of today. Pop in there and vote on Keep on the Borderlands, Temple of Elemental Evil, or I do have an option where it's like, may I suggest something else or something like that. If you do that, just tweet me and say, hey, you should take a look at this module. So yeah, anyway, what's coming up on the show, right? So tomorrow is Friday. I am going to be reviewing Cthulhu Tales from Cubicle 7 Entertainment. So that is coming on tomorrow's show. Next week, doing a lot of reviews. Next week, I'm going to review Fist of Dragonstone, the Tavern Edition from Stronghold Games. It's part of their Great Designers series. So that is on Monday's show. Tuesday, I'm going back-to-back with Stronghold Games. I am going to review Noria, also from Stronghold Games. This is a very unique design. Pretty different. So I'm going to talk about that. Then, on Wednesday, it's Wargame Wednesdays. So, I am going to Review Armageddon War from my friends over at Flying Pig Games. I am also going to announce a war game giveaway on Wednesday. I'm trying to work on getting some giveaways to get out there. Because it's... okay, so this is what I find kind of strange. So I run across this all the time, where I'll see somebody like on Twitter or something, somebody's retweeted, and it's somebody who's really new to covering the hobby. And it's like, oh yeah, I've got a giveaway copy of whatever. It's sort of like, really? It's like, you must approach these companies right up front and say, hey, you know, if you want coverage of this game, you got to get me a copy to give away or something like that, which I have never done. That has never been my approach. But I might actually start trying to do that a little bit more. Well, not like twist people's arms for giveaways, but just provide some giveaways. Speaking of giveaways, I should mention we are going to take part in an Extra Life live stream on November 3rd, like we did last year. Elliot's going to be part of it. Of course, obviously, I'm the brains behind it, or lack of brains behind it. Cameron's going to be part of it, some of Cameron's friends. We're going to try to bring a bunch of different people together. So we're going to have 2-hour blocks of time, and we're going to devote 2-hour blocks to a specific game. Or if it's a company that makes kind of quick playing games, we might do a couple of games. But here's the cool thing that we're going to be doing. We are going to have giveaways during the 2-hour blocks. And what we're going to do is we are going to give away, depending on what we're playing, we're going to give away a copy of that game to whoever makes the largest donation during that block of time. So right now, I do not have a review copy of it yet, but I do know that I am going to get a copy of Axis and Allies and Zombies. So I know November 3rd is after Halloween, and the game does come out on October 26th. But we are going to play that because it's not going to be that difficult to jump into. It's, you know, still Axis and Allies, right? It's just going to have some gonzo zombie stuff. So we are going to be playing that, and we will have a giveaway copy. We are going to play Everdell from Starling Games. We can't do a giveaway for Everdell because it's almost completely sold out. But there is another imprint that Brenna Noonan, I guess, works with, and it is Flying Meeple. They're more kind of family kids games, stuff like that. We're actually going to give a 3-pack of games from Flying Meeple to the highest donator. The person makes the largest donation during that block. So I've got some other companies that we've got penciled in as far as us playing stuff. I have not gotten back anything back yet confirming on doing some giveaways. I will say that if you want us to play a game from a specific company, like for an example, I'm thinking Elliot and I might finish up the stream by playing 1860, which is just 2 players, because we love that game. It's either Twilight Struggle or, you know, 1960. But thinking we might do that, and then of course I will have some GMT giveaways. So although it probably wouldn't be 1960, but if there's a company or a game that you would like to see us playing during the live stream, just tweet at me. Just tweet at me, let me know, because we're trying to reach out to, I shouldn't say we, I am trying to reach out to companies that you guys want to see. I mean, Everdell's like a great game, right? It's awesome. I'm sure a lot of people out there are curious about Axis and Allies and Zombies. I'm sure we'll do something from Stronghold. Steven and the gang over at Stronghold. So yeah, so we're kind of putting stuff together, but I'm just trying to say that our Extra Life stream, it's going to be 12 hours we're going to do, isn't just going to be same old, just, hey, watching people play games. There are going to be opportunities for people to win games. Of course, to do that, you're going to have to make donations. Anyway, that's the whole point, right? Helping the kids at the Miracle Network of Children's Hospitals. That's the whole point. It's not just, we're not doing it just so we can play games for 12 hours and look like idiots half the time anyway. On camera. All right, so I know folks are tuning in. They want to check out Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition from White Wolf Publishing and Modiphius Entertainment. So it's from Modiphius because Modiphius did the production. They put these books together. It is designed by Kenneth Haidt, Kareem Muammar, just guessing, Carl Bergstrom, with art and art direction by Mary Lee, Thomas Arfert, and Martin Erickson. The 400-page hardcover is available for an MSRP of $55. It is out now. If you were at Gen Con, you could have picked up a copy of it there. The PDF is also available. It is $24.99. You do receive a code for the PDF too if you happen to buy the hardcover. I am going to point out, I am going to tell you after we take a look through this, how you can score a copy of Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition from me. Well, it's not necessarily from me. It's from White Wolf and Modiphius. I didn't have anything to do with production. But I'm going to tell you how you can win. I'm going to have one copy in PDF to give away. I'm going to make it fairly easy. All right, so I'm going to pop my specs on, and we are going to move over to the other camera here. There we go. So, first thing I noticed, so this is 400 pages, but this seems like an awfully thick book for 400 pages, right? That's the first thing that I was thinking. And I just opened it up, and I can tell you the paper stock is really solid. I mean, this is some of the thickest pages I have run across in a long time with a role-playing game. So, got the back here. Not a whole lot of flavor text. It says, "No one holds command over me. No man, no god, no prince. What is a claim of age for ones who are immortal? What is a claim for power for ones who defy death? Call your damnable hunt. We shall see whom I drag screaming to hell with me." A storytelling game of personal and political horror. So, a few things I want to point out. Vampire the Masquerade is for a mature audience. It is intended for ages 18 and up. First thing I'm going to say, if I run across, I have not looked through this. I just took the shrink off today. In fact, it was kind of funny. I got this in the mail yesterday. So I got this in the mail yesterday, and it was kind of funny because I was like, well, if I get the copy of Betrayal Legacy, I'm going to do the unboxing. And then when I was told, well, no, we got an embargo on video, I was like, okay, man, well, it's Thursday. I'm doing Vampire the Masquerade. I was almost going to do just a standalone video. So a few things I want to mention. Number one, I guarantee you there are people out there who are going to hate this release without ever even taking a look at it. There are going to be people who are going to love this release without ever taking a peek at it. It is just the nature of the beast. Vampire the Masquerade is a very polarizing system. I know that for a fact. I do not really have a dog in the fight. I remember way back in the day, I picked up the first edition of Vampire the Masquerade, read through it, thought, wow, you know, this is really cool. I did pick up some of the source books before they had all the splat books just flooding the market. But I got a kick out of how it was set in Chicago. Of course, White Wolf was out of Chicago. And, of course, I lived in Chicago. So I thought that was very, very cool. I liked the fact that it was very, very rules light, very, very easy to get into. But I never ran it. It was one of those RPGs that I enjoyed reading the source books and the core books for, but never actually ran the game. So that being said, you know, I'm sure people are going to be commenting, you know, because I get some oddball comments on some of the videos sometimes. I'm sure people are going to comment, oh, I hate the artwork, or oh, they've completely destroyed the mechanics of the game, or whatever. I don't know. I have not read the book yet. I do know there is a major shift in tone. There's a major shift in the art style. A lot of photography as opposed to line art, stuff like that. So I'm going to kind of move this a little off center so my mug isn't blocking it. So it looks like I noticed this. I just took a quick peek because I did a page count as far as this went. And I noticed that, like, the interior on the front and back show, like, victims. So I'm taking a guess. These victims may have been, like, supporters. I don't remember if this was Kickstarted or not. I gotta be honest, I don't recall. I thought it was. But it's possible it was not, because I don't think there's, like, a big page full of, you know, like, Kickstarter supporters, right? But I don't know. All right, so first off, we got table contents. Moving right along, we're gonna have some fiction. Just gonna skip on past that. I got quite a bit of that there. It's like, okay, so looks like this is still more kind of fiction. Yep. Talking about it, and then we're gonna go to some top secret information about the vampires. Yeah, I think this is all setting the tone. Kind of interesting. Kind of interesting graphic direction that they've gone in here. Haven't read this, so I can't tell you how distracting it's going to be to read. Because I know one of the problems I had with the new edition of Outbreak Undead was they did a lot of this kind of stuff. And sometimes, although it looks kind of cool, when you're sitting there reading, it's kind of a pain in the ass. But this does look like this is all just kind of like background. There we go. Now we get into concepts. Because the thing was, this kind of style was utilized in Outbreak Undead for like the whole book. Not exactly like that, but the kind of, you know, like sticky notes and things like that was through the whole book. And it was kind of like, this is counterintuitive, guys. I had a lot of problems. I had a lot of issues with the second edition of Outbreak. So, and I reviewed it if you want to check that out. So we got concepts, the world of darkness, talking about the various, there are no heroes. That I think is one of the things that some folks are kind of pushing back on with this new edition, is that you are more monstrous. There are, you know, you're not gonna be a vampire and be, you know, a good guy. So we've got that. It's, I guess, just basically different levels of awfulness. Role-playing and storytelling. Example, played The Hunt. Kindred Society. Oh, well, at least now we're getting into some artwork as opposed to photography. Kindred Fashion. So I remember way back in the day when Vampire first came out, I used to go to some clubs in Chicago, and I was into like punk rock, you know, alternative music and stuff like that. And I would run across people who were LARPing Vampire. But that was pretty wild. I never got into that. Never got into LARPs. Not that there's anything wrong with them. It's just I've never, you know, really had an opportunity. I thought that was pretty wild. I would actually talk to a few of the people who were playing, well, after they were done playing. But yeah, kind of cool. Lexicon of the Damned. So we're getting a bunch of keywords here. Then we got the clans. I guarantee there are going to be people out there who are going to be like, "Oh man, why did they get rid of?" Wasn't it Tim Bradstreet who did like loads and loads of art for Vampire back in the day? And yeah, the artwork was really cool, really good art. So we're kind of showing off. To me, it looks like these vampire types are really looking to be ultra hipsters, right? Kind of setting some fashion trends. I honestly don't recall stuff about the different clans. It's been so long. Like I said, I remember I read the first edition. I thought it was pretty cool. But I don't remember anything about the various clans. I should point out that Vampire the Masquerade it still has a lot of detractors who can't stand the game without ever having read it or looked at anything to do with it. Sorry about that. It's really dry down here again today. But one of the reasons why they dislike it, some of them despise it, is that when Vampire the Masquerade was really popular, really popular. In fact, the term splat book comes from vampire. But you'd go, and a lot of people who were into other role-playing games were really upset because there was so much stuff coming out for vampire, and of course then you had werewolf, and you had mage, and wraith, and you had all these World of Darkness games that were all coming out with, you know, core books and source books and all this other stuff, and it was pushing everything else off the shelves. And I'll give you a great example. There was a game store in Chicago, and we didn't have a ton of game stores. It was called Emperor's Headquarters, and their main focus was actually historical miniatures. And I used to go there all the time. And of course, it's long gone. But they would have some board games, they have some RPGs. They didn't have a ton. Their RPGs was kind of one shelf, front and back. And you'd walk in there, and the whole thing was just World of Darkness stuff. So if you were looking for anything besides that, maybe you'd have one or two items from some other system sitting there, but for the most part, no, it was all World of Darkness. So there are people out there who still to this day have a strong dislike or worse for Vampire the Masquerade. All right, we got Granny Vampire here, huh? Okay, so we still have more. We're still going through the different clans. All right, so now we get into the rules. How far did we have to go to get into the rules? 115 pages. Huh, before we jump into the actual mechanics of the game. So we're talking about time, simple tests, traits, dice pools, trackers and pools, using the vampire dice. So using 6-siders, right? No, 10s. That wasn't it 6-siders back in the day? I don't know. I guess maybe not. Yeah, it was. I'm positive it was. I think it was 6-siders. But it looks like it's 10-siders now, maybe. Okay, types of damage, healing, examples of rolls. So it says, we designed this rule system with flexibility in mind. For example, the current range of attributes and skills yields about 270 combinations for dice pools. Wow. That's pretty wild. Their attributes. The golden rule. Okay, so what we got? Most important rule of all, and the only real rule worth following. There are no rules. Okay, well then, why do you have a whole section full of rules? It's like, I thought the number one rule is to have fun. I thought that was the whole thing in role-playing games. That's usually like the golden rule, or rule number one is have a good time. If you don't like a rule, toss the rule out. It's your game. You do what you will. All right, so now we got characters, character creation summary. One thing I think was kind of cool is they had announced that the first supplement for 5th edition Vampire the Masquerade is going to be like the Chicago source book, or the adventure book, or whatever, a setting book for Chicago. And I thought that was kind of wild. That'll bring back memories, I'm sure. Okay, so your human life, sample events, sample hobbies and pastimes, a lot of stuff in here. So I've kind of heard through the grapevine, and you know, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't read this yet, but I also point out that, and whenever I do RPG reviews, that I am not necessarily like the most intense about mechanics and things like that. I have kind of heard through the grapevine that this new edition is a lot more crunchy than Vampire used to be. So I can't tell you, because like I said, when did Vampire the Masquerade come out? 80s? Was it like 89 or 90, something like that? I think that was about when it came out. So that would have been about when I was reading the books. Because I think I picked up the core book and like the first 2-3 supplements that came out. And then I was like, well, I'm not running this game. It's kind of silly for me to spend money on books for a game I'm not going to run, even though they are interesting. All right, so we got different skills as I'm babbling on as I flip through here. Beliefs, convictions, ambition, and desire. Predator types. The alley cat. The bagger. The cleaver. The sandman. Advantages. The scene queen. Okay. Junkie. Hi, I'm a junkie. I don't know. It doesn't really look like a junkie to me. Just looks like somebody, trying to be hipper than thou. So, don't know. Thin blood merits and flaws, backgrounds. So there's supposed to be like a new mechanic in here called, I want to say it's hunger, that is going to really, really affect how your character plays and how you play your character. So I've heard some interesting stuff. Once again, like I said, I just hear a little background noise about different things, but I really don't jump really into something until I'm reading it. Okay, so we got vampires. Here we go. Truth and lies. What's true about them? What's a lie? Hunger. There we go. Hunger dice. Messy critical. Bestial failure. So I believe, the hunger is, of course, you have, feeding and things like that, but you're trying to keep, like, the beast within at bay. Rousing the blood, slaking hunger. Different ways of feeding. There we go. The blood. Blood potency. There's a whole lot of stuff in here about blood. Which, of course, I would figure you would. It's a vampire game. Dangerous to the blood. You are what you eat. Yep, remember that, kids. You are what you eat. Hunting and... what was that? Hunting and humors. Okay. Changing resonance. States of damnation. Yeah, I can tell right now that there are going to be people out there who are really going to dislike the use of photography. It's not really bothering me. Okay, so now we're into general rules. What? Oh, disciplines. I was going to say general rules. What? We're 244 pages in, now it's getting into rules? Okay, so... lots of stuff in here that I'm not overly familiar with. But I guess these are more like supernatural powers. Premonition. Clairvoyance. Possession. It's really kind of almost like different schools. I guess, if we're kind of like equating it to like a fantasy RPG. Different schools of magic. I know it's not magic. I know it's special abilities, supernatural abilities, and stuff like that. I'm just saying. So we got like presence, dread gaze, irresistible voice. Well, we know that's not me. Feral weapons, shape changer. All right, so got all of this stuff here. We're closing in on the last 100 pages. Okay, advanced systems. You mean these weren't advanced enough? Okay. I could tell right off the bat that unlike a lot of different role-playing games that you can kind of start sinking your teeth into, no pun intended, that you could start getting into without having to, read like the whole book, especially as a player. I can tell that's not the case here. I can tell you're pretty much going to be forced to read the whole thing. Guess we got these advanced systems here. Scenes and modes of play, the Hunger Game, singular, advanced conflict. I wonder if these are more towards like optional rules. That's a possibility. Yeah, this does look quite a bit crunchier, I should say, than I remember Vampire ever being. Systems of blood, compulsion variants. All right, then we got cities. The feudal system. The marks, vampire graffiti. I have to laugh because that almost looks like the artwork that's on the cover of North Star Games, dude. I swear. Yeah, okay. I know it's not. Just say it. I saw that. I'm like, whoa, wait a second. Okay, so this all the information kind of about city backgrounds. The city background is actually going to be part of the contest, and I will get to that in just a couple of minutes because it looks like we're running towards the end of the book here. We got Hitting the Streets, then we got Chronicles. One thing I always thought was kind of cool with Vampire is you could actually just, play it when it, whatever era you really wanted. I thought that was kind of cool. Of course, later on they came out with the various core books and source books for different historical periods, but even in the beginning, you could kind of bang it around, kind of hack it to how you wanted it to play. Hooks and how to avoid hook refusals. Well, yeah, okay. So here's a hook to get you into the adventure. No, thanks. I'm going to wriggle off that hook. Talk Action Challenge. Running a game. The cut. Not a ton of Game Master info here. It seems like Game Master info is kind of kicking in around page 360. I don't know. Well, this is kind of... I don't know. Looks like some of this stuff is really aimed at players, too. Tools. Antagonists. Other kind of NPCs and stuff. Creatures of horror. And we got items and gear, weapons, supernatural equipment. Got, looks like we've got some notable characters here. Convention of Thorns. The circulatory system. Okay. Maybe these aren't necessary. Maybe these are just kind of beats. Because we have the First Inquisition with the same kind of layout like we did for, like, say, this character here. So, Sect War Veteran, the Trinity, Week of Nightmares. Yeah, I guess maybe these are just adventure hooks that we're looking at here. And there is no introductory adventure in the book. I had heard about that already, and that always kind of bums me a little bit. I always like to see at least some small, even if it was just 10 pages to get you going. But we got the adventure hooks pretty much in the back of the book. So that is all 400 pages of Vampire the Masquerade. As I mentioned, it is available right now from White Wolf Publishing and Modiphius Entertainment. It does carry a $55 MSRP for the hardcover we were just taking a look at, and it does include a free PDF. You can get the PDF alone for $24.99. I will have a review of Vampire the Masquerade, but we're probably looking at a couple weeks off at least a couple weeks off because it is pretty hefty, a lot of stuff to read. But I will give my thoughts on the game itself. Once again, as I say, I'm not real huge on like mechanics. If there's like a broken mechanic, I am not going to catch it when I'm reading through to do a review. Oh well. Anyway, so I had mentioned earlier, I've mentioned this a couple of times, I am going to have a giveaway for a PDF of the 5th edition of Vampire the Masquerade. This is for Twitter followers only. So you got to be a follower of the Gaming Gang over on Twitter, and it's just at the Gaming Gang. I know it'll say Jeff at the Gaming Gang, but rather than just being some like faceless the Gaming Gang, I have it Jeff at the Gaming Gang. Anyway, so you got to be a follower. 2 parts to being in the running to win the PDF copy. Pretty simple. First of all, you're gonna have to retweet the tweet either from today, which will be later on today, sharing this show, or the next day. I always retweet a did you miss, you know, Barbarian Battlegrounds on the Gaming Gang for October, you know, whatever, right? So I will retweet the show tomorrow as well. You need to retweet either one of those. Either the one from later on today or the one for tomorrow. You need to retweet it, and you have to tell me what city would you like to set your Vampire the Masquerade game in. Simple enough, right? But I don't want you to just put a city. You need to type out, I'd love to set Vampire the Masquerade in, and then share the city. Or words to that effect. I just don't want to see a bunch of people retweeting stuff and just have like Berlin. Okay? Great. I'm going to tell you right now, if you do that, if you just retweet the tweet and just put like a city, you're not in the running. You got to say, you know, I'd like to, or I think it'd be cool to set Vampire the Masquerade, whatever. You have to say at least, you know, the city you want to play Vampire the Masquerade in. Okay? That's all you got to do. It's not that difficult. I know some folks out there just have a hell of a time wrapping their heads around very simple things. Don't stress me out. Anyway, so you'll have until I do the show on Monday. So this contest is going to be pretty quick. So during Monday's show, I will announce the winner, and then what I will do is I will actually ask for their email address, and then I'm going to email them the code for the PDF that came in this book. Because I already had a PDF of Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition for review, and I was contacted by White Wolf to see if I wanted to do a review, and I had said, well, PDFs are a little tough. I mean, I could do it, but personally, I think doing the PDF reviews are not as exciting because it's just, you know, slides going past and stuff like that. But I could do it. And they said, well, no, don't worry about it. We'll send you out a physical book. So that's what I got. But I don't need a PDF. I already got a PDF. So I got a code from this book. From the book. So the winner will get that code. I will ask for an email address, and I will email them the code. And then all they have to do is go to worldofdarkness.com and register an account, redeem that code, and boom, they get themselves a PDF copy of Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. Okay, so tomorrow's show, I am going to be reviewing Cthulhu Tales. I'm trying to do like horror stuff with, you know, Halloween coming. So I'm going to review Cthulhu Tales from Cubicle 7 Entertainment. That's it for today's show. As I like to say, when you're not watching any videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com. Yes, it's a website. It's actually a really popular website, amazingly enough. For the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV, come on, by now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.